Welcome to Black Gumbo Southern Gardening. I'm going to update you with what's going on around here. Man, it's cold. It's cold, it's wet, and it's the wet that makes it really go straight to the bone. Not much going on in the garden right now. We're waiting on our seeds to come up. I did plant some onions. I still have a few winter crops that are growing just fine. The leeks are doing really well. Cauliflower's doing okay, and I've got some carrots down there that should produce for me. Let me show you around a bit. I've got 2 blood oranges ripening on the tree. They're still pretty hard, but I've had 2 of them, and they're pretty good. So yeah, the fruit trees, they're doing fine despite the cold. I think I lost some of my fig trees. Some of them are breaking bud, like this one here, while others are not. So some of those fig trees I think are goners. Like I said, the garden, we lost a whole bunch in the garden, so there's a lot of empty space. I've been keeping it weeded. But what we did save is looking real healthy. No pests. There's those carrots down there. Got our onions in a previous video, you saw that. Got a lot of onions this year. But yeah, everything out here is wet, cold, dormant. Got to prune those grapevines down there. Phoebe, what are you looking at? Come away from the fence. Check out my apple trees. My Anna. It's burst with blossoms. I have 3 early season trees that will cross-pollinate, and you need those cross-pollinators, while the late season trees are still dormant, and last year's leaves still there, but they're not waking up yet. This one over here, this is my golden Dorset. It's about to burst open as well. And then over here, I've got what's called the Shell of Alabama, and it is also an early bloomer. Stone fruits are waking up. That's the apricot tree. The nectar, no, that's a plum tree, the big one in the middle. Those 2 down there are not waking up. Not yet. But yeah, the apricot tree already had blossoms on it. But it's too darn cold out here. Let's go inside. Well, I don't know what it is about humidity and cold. It's not really that cold outside. We're just south of where the real bad winter weather is here in Texas, but it's that chill in the air and that wetness, it goes all the way to the bone. So I thought I'd come inside and show you my seedlings and my seeds, how they're progressing and which ones aren't progressing. I got to restart my single seed challenge because it looks like it's not going to come up. And I want to talk about my spring garden plans and what I'm going to grow and the varieties I'm going to grow, what I've selected this year. And yeah, let's just talk a bit about the future. Well, there's my single seed challenge, and it did not come up, so I'm going to put another seed in there. And here's all my other goodies. We'll take these covers off and take a look at them. Here's the overview of my seed starting station, and I'm going to add another rack of lights right down here so that I'll have room when I uppot my plants to get them a little larger before they go out in the garden. We are currently keeping our soil temperature right around 83 degrees, and that's good for these peppers and tomatoes. All right, here's what we've got growing. On this side, we didn't get any of these Hungarian peppers coming up. Nothing. Over here, we didn't get any Jedi jalapenos coming up, at least not yet. I don't see any little seedlings poking their head above the soil. But we did get these what are these? Impala. These are Impala hot peppers, and that's a new one for me this year. Looks like most of the tomatoes are coming up. I've got some striped German. I've got some Romas. I have some Brandywine, Sudeth's strain. That's the original, thought to be the original Brandywine. And this row is seed that I saved. What else we got back there? We've got some carbon tomatoes, some Everglades tomatoes. They're the real small ones. Not many of those seeds came up, but at least I've got a couple of plants there, and that's encouraging. And down at the end, I got my Edox F1 hybrid cherry tomatoes. And what we'll do is we will let these get a little bit larger, maybe twice that size, and then we'll separate these and pot up enough plants for our garden and enough to share. I'll show you how to separate them. I actually have a video on how to do that. But it looks like we probably need to water this soil. Yeah, single seed challenge didn't come up. Over here, we've got a bunch of peppers. We have our Carmen sweet peppers. I've got some serranos. I've got red flame cayenne down at the end. And over here, we only had the Korean pepper. What are those? Gochujang peppers. We only had those come up. Didn't get any anchos and didn't get any Tabascos. Those were old seed, so yeah. Oh, we did get one. We got one of our anchos coming up, so maybe there'll be some more. Maybe there's hope. All right, I already dug out that seed that was in there in my single seed challenge. It was not a viable seed. Again, my single seed challenge is this orange spice jalapeno, and I'd like to get some of those. So let me pick another seed here. Pick that one right there. I guess I could take my gloves off. Drop it down in the same hole. And we'll have our single seed challenge part 2. See if we can get this going this year. I didn't get any single seeds last year to grow. Let's cover that up. Just give that a little bit of water. It's pretty moist in there already, but I want to settle that soil around my seed there. All right, now we have another single seed challenge. I'll need to update that date to today's date. All right, let me talk about some seeds I'm going to grow this year. All right, so what else are we going to grow in the garden? Most of what I'm going to grow in the garden that is not in my seed trays up there will be seeded in the garden and direct seeded. We're going to grow herbs. I'm going to grow some thyme. Got to have some dill. And got to have some cucumbers. These are going to be Max Pack from Johnny Seed. They're a hybrid pickling cucumber. I don't like slicing cucumbers, those English cucumbers. I don't like them. I just like pickles. I'm going to grow some basil. Basically, I'm going to replant my herb garden that got knocked back by the freeze. Got to have herb garden. Got to have all those herbs for cooking. I'm going to grow some radishes. This is one of my favorites. It's Malaga, this purple radish that's beautiful white on the inside. I'm going to grow some marigolds, different varieties of marigolds to attract, pollinators, and I'm going to grow those in the holes in my concrete blocks. So that's on the agenda. I'm going to grow. Not going to grow lettuce. Not going to grow greens. Got some fresh seed of those radishes. I've got some turnips I'm going to try to grow. Turnips usually do better for me in the fall garden, but I've got some purple tops. We'll put them in, see how they do. I like turnips. I like to eat turnips. So we're going to grow that. And you know what? I didn't bring all my seeds up here for the spring. They're not in order. I'm going to grow Old Homestead, which is, I believe it's also the Kentucky pole bean. I'm going to grow some beans, and that's it. I'm not going to grow much else yet except my peppers and tomatoes. This year I'm going to pass on the squash plants. I have had vine borers so bad in the past years that I can't get any long season squash, any of the winter squash. I can't get any of that. And the yellow squash that I get and the zucchini I get, I only get like one harvest before the vine borers show up, and it's just not worth it to me. I've got those vine borer pupae. They're down in the soil, so they're already here. They'll find my plants even if they're not here, but the fact that I have local populations in my garden now is discouraging, so I'm going to pass on that. Now, there is a treatment you can do using beneficial nematodes. You can treat the soil, and those nematodes sometimes can kill off all those vine borer larvae. I'm just going to let it rest a couple of years before I try squash again. I might be picking out like plants of opportunity. If I see something like at the store, at the Bonnie Plants rack, if I see something that I'd like to try, I might pick that up. But again, in the garden right now that's going to go into spring, I've got onions and carrots, and everything else that I put in the garden will be after I pull out the cabbages and brassicas that are there. But the onions, the carrots, oh, and the leeks, those will go through the spring garden with me. So I got to plan around those. And yeah, March the 1st, that's our target date. That's the average last frost date for our area. And our local weather guys, the really reliable ones, by the way, if you're in the Houston area, you need to check out Space City Weather if you haven't already. They are no hype, and they're always accurate, almost always accurate. Well, the guys at Space City Weather say that this cold snap is probably the coldest we're going to be for the rest of the year, and he's not making any promises, but he does not anticipate any more freezes until for this winter. So hopefully next week we're going to warm up a little bit and get out there and do some direct sowing of some of these seeds that don't mind a little bit of cool weather, like the radishes. Probably get me some more radish seeds too, and different varieties, and plug those in too. I don't have a spring garden diagram plan like I normally do. I didn't do it this year because I'm just taking kind of a relaxing gardening approach this year. Last year was a tough year in a whole lot of ways for me and our family, and the garden had a lot of problems. We've had all kinds of trouble in the garden. It's been frustrating. So look into this year and look into the future. I just want to enjoy it, and I don't want to have to put together some complex plan that I have to stick to. I'm just going to go out there and plant stuff where I want it to grow. I'm going to fertilize every 3 weeks. I'm just going to have fun this year. I need to also inform you, if you don't know already, there is a seed company out there called Seeds for Generations. Family-run business, great business. I buy a lot of my seeds from them. I'm affiliated with them. Normally, if you click the link down in the video description to go to Seeds for Generations, and if you purchase something from them, that benefits me as well. I get a little bit of I get a little bit of commission. Unfortunately for this family, their building in which their seed business was housed caught on fire. It was an electrical building, an electrical fire, and it pretty much wiped out their seed business. They're currently trying to recover from that. I'm going to put a link down in the description where if you're feeling generous and you want to help them out, you can go and chip into the recovery fund. Very good company, Jason over there and his family. They have worked hard to get a good selection of seeds, quality seeds, and they run a good business over there. So if you want to help out a good business, a family business that's trying to make it, go check that link out. Well, that'll do it. There's just a little update, micro tour, I guess, of the garden. Update about what's going on here with the seeds. And you can see this is accessible to most people. Gardening is accessible to almost everyone. You don't have to have all the fancy equipment. It's helpful, but you could build that up over time. But if you'd like to learn how to garden in a small backyard context, follow my channel, subscribe. I hope we might earn your subscription, and like our videos. Hey, happy gardening to you. We'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye. All right. Nice. That's encouraging.